Who let Baz be in charge? I mean, like, I'm not misrepresenting his character here, but the man's dangerous. Like, anyway, never mind. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if I can do a better job of this than Baz, who's constantly like, what's the name again? The TFYTC. See, Baz, it's not difficult when you're British and you know the English language. It is very simple to say TFYTC. Suck it. Right. Baz has been left in charge, which is literally the definition of the madmen running the asylum, and he has put out a homework. What toy do you still love many years after it's lost its sheen? Well, there were a couple of suggestions that were rocking around in my head as to what toy I could possibly choose. But, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have found the perfect one, not only because it is timely, but because it is genuinely one of my all-time favourite toys, because of this nostalgia factor to it. Now, yes, we can say nostalgia, and that's terrifying, because this toy came out, let me see now, 11 years ago? 11? Maybe? Maybe 11. Somewhere around there. And of course, we are talking about Transformers Animated Leader Class Megatron. And here he is in his helicopter mode. Please ignore the fact that he is missing one of his blades. I had to do this video very, very quickly, and as a result, just sort of grabbed him out of a box. I know he's in a box. A load of my Transformers, in fact, all of my Transformers are in boxes at the moment, waiting to be released. But he's got another blade there, trust me, it's in another room somewhere. Okay, this is Leader Class Animated Megatron. I was about to say Ultra Magnus there, which is completely wrong. I love this toy, and I love this toy despite the fact that it is over 10 years old, and that generally means that time has moved on and technology has advanced. And yes, there are certainly parts of this bad boy that feel a little retro in retrospect. However, look at that. I mean, is that not a threat? If you saw that coming towards you, would you not be running for your life? I mean, probably not minus one rotor blade, because it would be crashing horrendously into the ground. Boom. But if you had another rotor blade, then you would definitely be running. There's an awful lot about this toy that I just adore. And like I say, I think it's because of the fact that it was so close to the original vision of updating Megatron that one couldn't help but be impressed by it, even though it was coded in the animated aesthetic. Because you've got to remember, you know, this is long before, I mean, we've had a deluge of Megatrons in the last 10 years, but when you think about classic G1 Megatron right at the beginning, okay, and then you think about all of the Megatrons that came after him up to this point, you're looking at characters like Beast Wars Megatron, shows no commonality. You're looking at the Robots in Disguise, the original RID, no commonality. He's just triple, he wasn't even a triple changer, he was a 6 changer and then a 10 changer and transformed into a hand, because Megatron, you know. Then you got the Unicron trilogy, and of course, again, look at the Unicron trilogy, we're looking at, he was a Batmobile, he was a tank, which, okay, he was a tank in G2, I get that, but he was a tank with, like, a weird crab head crown thing. You had Galvatron in Energon, but that was definitely homage to Galvatron and not Megatron. So, and then, even then, you know, you had the Classics line where, yes, he finally transformed into a gun, but he transformed into a weird Nerf gun, and there were problems with that toy, unless you got the Takara version, which came in the better colour scheme. However, never mind. This, however, I think is the true successor to Generation 1 Megatron. However, make no mistake about it, this Megatron stands on his own. You know, it's one of those times where I think this Megatron, at least from the perspective of the cartoon, surpasses Generation 1 Megatron. I adore animated, and I adore animated Megatron because of, well, one, because of the fact that Corey Burton did a phenomenal job updating his voice and not trying to do a Frank Welker impression. But two, he was just so, he was tread so well within the context of the cartoon itself. G1 Megatron, as you all know, I grew up on the cartoon, so that's kind of my take on Megatron. Megatron was a bit ridiculous, wasn't he? I mean, he didn't succeed very often. And at the moment that he did succeed, he died. So, you know, go figure. Well, or got reformatted, whatever. But this guy was a genuine threat. I still remember the end of Megatron Rising Part 1 as he smashes out of the building at the penultimate episode of Season 1 of Transformers Animated. And you knew at that point that it was on, you know. And if memory serves, the only reason the Autobots survived that encounter is because they ran. They literally ran. The Decepticons were incredibly well in animated because every time they showed up, and this was, you know, at the time, I think a lot of people had a problem with animated's pacing because it filled out the roster with so many of the human characters in Season 1 and kept the Decepticons at arm's length. But that was by design, and I think in hindsight that was one of the strongest parts about the series, was the fact that the Decepticons were used sparingly, and so when they did show up, they were genuinely a threat. And this guy was the cream of the crop when it came to that. And this toy was fantastic. So he transforms into this helicopter. And if I can... Right, okay, so he has sound effects. Me and sound effects have a bit of a history in the sense that I don't generally like them in my toys. This one, it's not too bad because there's a gimmick to the sound. Not only does... Sorry, I'm primarily going to be transforming this off camera, I guess, because I don't really have a good setup for recording videos, and you don't really need to see. This toy is, like, old. If you don't own this toy, then me telling you how good it is will probably not help you. But... Wait till I transform. I can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, so sound effects. I don't really like sound effects in Transformer toys. I find them distracting and generally irritating. See Scavenger, Armada Scavenger, who's genuinely terrible. But Megatron, on the other hand, I quite like because there's a gimmick to his sound effects, which is that... Oh, what's going on here? Why isn't this working? The wings, yes, the wings. Starscream. What's going on? It's been a while since I've transformed this, so, there we go. I think that's right, yeah. Seems about right. There we go. Must just be a little sticky. No, that's wrong. He hasn't been transformed in a long time. Like, don't assume anything based on that previous comment. So yeah, so I'm not really a fan, but this one does it quite well because it does two things. One, it's got the transforming sound effect, but when he's in robot mode, his sound effects are different. And here he is. I mean, look at this bad boy. Look at him. I mean, one, he's got swords, right? Swords are inherently cool. And I love the fact that the swords transform from his rotor blades, which is really, really nice. I still, to this day, maintain that the fusion cannon is good. It's just a shame that it has to be mounted on this weird hilt piece of plastic thing. Because obviously, in the show itself, the fusion cannon just attached to his arm. Would have been great if this... I mean, I know this piece would have just been a piece of, you know, just a piece of excess that probably would have gotten lost, and then you wouldn't have been able to transform in play mode and all that stuff. Probably for kids anyway. But I would have much rather preferred it if this could have come off and just attached directly to his arm. But yeah, like, he was great for the time. Ratchet all over the place, you know, long before ball joints. Actually, that's not true. There was an awful lot of toys that used ball joints at this point, but this guy definitely had the ratchets. He's got ratchets in the knee, got ratchets in the hips, ratchets in the shoulder, just normal swivels at the elbow, and all of that stuff. So he's got great articulation. There's no real articulation in the head, however, and the reason for that is so he has 3 sound effects there. Bah, where is the Allspark? And crush the Autobots. And as a result of that, because of the fact that his mouth is gimmicked and his head is gimmicked, there is no room whatsoever for head articulation. And yes, and there is sort of a dating aspect to it. He is gimmick-laden in regards to his sound effects. And it does hinder posability because it limits his head posability, and so therefore you can't really have a pose where he's looking off to one side ready to kill an Autobot, because he can't look that way. It's impossible. And so, like I say, there are dated aspects to this toy, but I still love him. I still love how he looks. I still love the fact that he is, for his time, the best representation, or updated representation, of a Generation 1 Megatron. But more to the point, I just love animated Megatron. Like, I mean, I know I've been doing an awful lot of comparing him to G1 Megatron and saying that's kind of one of the impetuses of why I loved him. But as time has gone on, he stands on his own as, like, one of the definitive Megatrons. I don't think we've had a Megatron since animated who has been as good as this guy. Primes was good. Primes was good for completely different reasons, but this guy was awesome. And Prime Megatron took an awful lot of cues from this Megatron. And, you know, in terms of just being the genuine, terrifying threat. It's just that Optimus Prime and the other Autobots were more competent, or more capable, shall we say, than the animated bots. But yes, what a wonderful, wonderful toy. Anyway, there we go. That's the toy that I have chosen for this week's homework. I will see you all, most likely, in a couple of weeks' time. If you like this video, and you want to get your hands on this toy, why not take a look at TF Nation, which is happening in a couple of weeks in Birmingham. I wouldn't mind getting the Takara version, actually, now that I think about it. I've never seen one in person, nor, I don't think, have I seen one ever, like, in videos or anything like that. But there was a Takara one, which was sort of an all-chrome version, which I don't know if that's good or bad, and I don't know what the chrome was like on him. But that might be something. That might be like a random purchase for TFN. Anyway, thank you, Baz. Despite the fact that nobody should leave you in charge, thank you very much for posting this homework, and thank you everybody for watching, and look forward to watching some of your videos, and see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.